Okay, guys, I've finally done it. Took me several days of work and experimentations and tinkering, but I can finally say that I've automated the expert mode Duke Fishron fight using nothing but boulders, lots of boulders, and teleporters. Nothing but boulders and teleporters. I can now kill Duke Fishron. Check it out. But you know the greatest thing about this farm is that thanks to Terraria 1.44, which dropped today, the mechanic, not the steampunker, but now the mechanic sells teleporters. So you don't have to kill any mechanical bosses in order to get access to teleporters. Meaning you can completely have this farm up and ready before you even get into hard mode. So that means that Fishron can be the first boss that you kill, and it's not even a hard farm to build. It just is kind of labor intensive, but I've done all the design and the tutorial for you. All you have to do is follow some steps. It might take you, what, 2 hours? 2 to 3 hours? Okay, our build begins with our boulder rows. So the boulder rows are divided into three parts, a bottom, middle, and top part. And the bottom part starts about 35 blocks above the ocean and 60 blocks off the shore. So this is going to be 60 blocks. This is about 35 blocks. Then we have two boulder rows, followed by 8 boulder rows, followed by 4 boulder rows. Very next thing we're going to do is extend our rows out. So they're going to go 400 blocks in this left direction, and then for the right direction, they're going to go all the way to the edge of the map. And once you hit that edge of the map, we're going to create a giant wall along the edge of the map. Okay, so now that we've placed all of our rows going both right and left, here's what my map looks like. And a problem we might run into in the future is that these boulder statues might be too far to the left. That's not really an issue though. In the future, we can just bring them up. So let's go ahead and start spacing our teleporter pads. I'm going to do them with snow blocks. So we'll have one right here. And this needs to be 3 air blocks thick. So it's going to look like that. Okay, now we'll place our timer tunnel. So it's just going to be like this. And this is what's going to, this only needs to be 2 air blocks high, or thick I mean, with spacing between. And then we're going to make it about 3 blocks high. And it's going to come down. Just give it extra length. Okay, and now I'm going to show you the basics of the wiring for the teleporters. So this is our entry teleporter, which needs to remain open so you can actually get into it. And we're going to start with a red wire, which we will just drag all the way left until we hit our next teleporter. And we'll only connect it to the very side of the teleporter. So see how it's on that side and on that side. Make sure that the wires never touch the middle. Then we're going to connect a yellow wire. So it's going red, yellow, red, yellow. That's the alternating pattern. Then we'll place our teleporter here. Then we're going to connect the third one to the one on top of it. So this is why you need to have your teleporters directly on top of one another. Just like that. Okay, in this next step of the build, we're going to place our timers on top of our timer tunnel. That's what this snow row is about. It's called our timer tunnel, and it's going to use a rolling boulder to press pressure plates, which will then activate timers, which will synchronize our teleporters together so that we teleport in that desired way. So let's go ahead and do that. Here are my notes. We're actually going to start with timer 6, which is going to go right around here. And then we're going to work backwards until we get to the start of our row. So we can see that there are about, there's 18 blocks until we hit timer 5, going down from timer 6. I'll demonstrate that. Timer 6 will go right here. I'm using 1 second timers. You have to use 1 second timers. And we're going to go 18 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So we're going to place it on the 18th block. And you do need to use my exact numbers here. This is the timing that was satisfying for me. There are probably some variations, but for safety, just use my numbers. So the next one is 21. And now we're going to connect these buttons to our, excuse me, no, the first thing we need to do is place yellow pressure pads under them. And this is what the rolling boulder is going to, roll over and activate. So just place yellow pressure pads over each of these. And then we're going to hook them up. Whoops, that one's messed up. Then we're going to hook them all up to our teleporters. You need to get the color of the wiring just right for this. So the first timer is going to be connected to the first set of wiring. So we're going to connect the button to the timer. Make sure you do that and place it all the way up. Really simple, nothing special. Then we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to switch to our yellow wire and we're going to bring this down. Going to bring it to the right as neatly as you can. And we're going to do this for all of them, and I'll speed the next part up. Okay, so now all my timers are connected to my teleporters. And just take notice of the order I did. So it should be red to yellow to red to yellow to red to yellow. And that should tell you exactly how to connect them. And you'll see I added this little hill here. That's because I need to create a convenient pressure pad to activate this timer, the timer tunnel. So I'm going to place a blue pressure pad, which is activated by a player. And I'm very simply going to connect it to a boulder statue right here. and this boulder will fall and then roll down the path, and it will activate the timers once I hook it up, obviously. So let's get some yellow wiring. Why not? It doesn't really matter. And now if I do this and I come here, we can test it and make sure it does work. So good, 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 good. Good. You can see that that's working. And one thing about this boulder timer tunnel is that it's very, very customizable. And I didn't experiment a ton with this. I just kind of found out what would work and give me the pacing I wanted. But you could theoretically adjust this farm quite a bit. You could add two, four, six more teleporters, and then you could also adjust the boulder rows to differentiate the frequency of your teleports, and you could theoretically get this down perfectly to where maybe the boss never even hits you. So I might experiment with doing that someday, but for the time being, this is what I have now. But it's very customizable, so you could probably do this. I'm not ready, but you might be able to do this without any tank gear whatsoever if you get the timing down just right. Okay, and the last thing we're going to add to our timer tunnel before replacing the background walls is the boulder row activation button. So it's going to be a yellow pressure plate that will activate a 1-second timer block, which we will place in this little cubby I just made. And that 1-second timer block will keep the boulder statues running permanently until I switch it off. Alright, so before we begin placing massive amounts of boulders, we need to check to see if the boulders are rolling in the correct direction. So here I have a button set up right there, which connects to all of them. So we're going to click on this way, and that is rolling the correct direction. So we know that our boulders are on the correct X coordinate. So we have to keep them on this even block, and that'll be good. And the way we want to space our boulders out is they're going to be 6 airspaces apart, or 8 blocks in total apart. So I decided to show this off. This is an old design, which has twice as many boulder statues in one row, but it has half the amount of rows. And it turns out the invincibility frames of the boss make it to where there's really no point having this many boulders in one line because they deal the same amount of damage. You get more damage by spreading out your rows, like up here and down here, as well as in the middle. This design that I'm scrapping right now had about a 6.5 minute kill time, and my new design has a 4 minute kill time. So it's a lot more effective, and I'm actually redoing the entire tutorial just to show off the new design. Alright, so after some testing, I realized that we needed to add 2 more columns of boulder statues. So I went ahead and did that, and that will give us, at this distance, a full line of constantly moving boulders. So you'll see in 15 seconds what happens. Before, these 2 columns didn't exist, so I added them just now, and it makes it perfect. So you'll see this activate, and there. Now we have a perfect constant stream of boulders no matter what. And if we'll hop in here, you see that our teleporters are working just fine. And you have to have this sidewall there because that breaks the boulders. If you don't have it, you're going to fill up your screen with too many boulders. And then they'll start to despawn. So the cool thing about this build is it's basically done. Now we just need to add the practical side of it. So we're going to have our fishing spot. And our fishing spot can simply be right here. You want it a little bit out in the water. And then maybe we can have a teleporter here with the blue button on it. Where's my blue buttons? Good. And then, we'll be fishing from here, la-di-da-di-da. And then if we get a bite, then we will run into our teleporter. And let me think about how we can hook this up. And just like that, we now have a way to run away from the boss and then get into our farm, and you know the rest. Okay, one of the last things to take care of is your background walls. So you're going to want to place background walls, as I've gotten started, behind your timer tunnel as a priority, because you don't want any mobs in your timer tunnel. And then you're going to just want to place background walls wherever you think that mobs can spawn at. So you'll ideally want to fill up this space and some of this space. That's just so you don't have to deal with mobs when you're dealing with this farm. And one thing to add to your build is actuators. Actuators will make it to where you can get in and out of your build, and you can buy them from the mechanic. So you step on a pressure pad and that activates any actuators that you've set, and it turns these blocks into passable blocks. So that way you can easily get Fishron loot. All you do is place them on the solid blocks and then activate them with wiring. So talking about survivability, you're going to want to maximize your life regen. So to do that, you're going to want campfires and heart lanterns, obviously, and you'll also want to fill up one of these things with some honey. That way you get the honey boost, as well as you'll want to, grab any heart statues that you have, and you can place heart statues in these teleporters and connect the red wiring to the heart statue like that. That way you can get 20 HP every heart, and that'll keep you alive longer. And you can actually just attach the heart statues to these pre-existing wires. It's no problem. Okay, there you have it. Thanks for watching, guys.